Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Deep Dive. You know, we always pick something super relevant for these deep dives, and today is no different.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh. We're diving into the pros and cons of having fluoride added to our drinking water.
I like it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty interesting.
Yes.
I've got a whole bunch of government reports,
Okay.
some scientific studies,
All right.
and even some public health perspectives to unpack here.
Sounds good.
And trust me, it gets a lot more interesting than it sounds.
Okay.
Oh, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Visions Beyond on YouTube.
You got it.
Okay, so let's start with the basics.
Okay.
What exactly is fluoride? I mean, I know it's my toothpaste, but
Right.
where does it come from, and how does it end up in our water?
Well, it's not just one thing.
Okay.
It's actually a family of compounds.
Oh, wow.
You might see sodium fluoride, stannous fluoride, or monofluorophosphate on ingredient lists.
I've seen those.
Those are all types of fluoride.
Got it.
And while it's found naturally in some water sources,
Okay.
the fluoride added to drinking water is usually a controlled dose of these compounds.
Oh, so it's not like little bits of pure fluorine are swimming around in there.
Right.
Okay, good to know. But how does this stuff even get into our bodies?
Drinking water is the main route for most people,
Okay.
but it's also naturally present in some foods.
Right.
And of course, there are all those dental products.
Oh, right.
Toothpaste,
Toothpaste.
mouthwash,
Yeah.
even some floss.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. All that minty freshness.
Mm-hmm.
But does it even matter if we swallow it or not?
Actually, that's a key point.
Okay.
Swallowing fluoride, whether from water or those minty products, is how it gets into our system.
Okay.
And where those potential health effects, both good and bad, come into play.
All right.
What's interesting is that fluoride loves to hang out in calcium-rich areas of our bodies,
Okay.
namely bones and teeth.
Uh-huh. So that sets the stage for both the potential benefits and the downsides we'll be exploring.
Oh, exactly.
Okay. But before we get to all that, let's rewind a bit.
Okay.
When did this whole adding fluoride to water thing even start, and why?
It's a bit of a detective story.
Oh, really?
In the early 1900s, scientists noticed something peculiar.
What's that?
People in areas with naturally high fluoride levels in their water had surprisingly fewer cavities.
Really?
It sparked this idea of intentionally adding fluoride to water as a way to boost everyone's dental health.
So like a public health hack. Who was the first to try this out?
Grand Rapids, Michigan takes the trophy.
Wow.
Back in 1945, they became the first city in the world to intentionally add fluoride to their water supply.
Really?
And get this, it worked. Studies showed a huge drop in cavities, especially among kids,
Wow.
leading to this massive wave of water fluoridation across the U.S. The CDC even called it one of the 10 greatest public health achievements of the 20th century.
Wow. Talk about a success story. But
Yeah.
you mentioned nuances earlier.
Right.
What's the other side of this coin? Is everyone on board with fluoridation these days?
Well, that was then, and this is now. Enter the Cochrane collaboration,
Okay.
a global network of researchers known for their super rigorous, independent reviews.
Okay.
They took a deep dive into 20 major studies on water fluoridation, and their findings, well, they shook things up a bit.
Okay, I'm all ears. Spill the tea.
Okay.
What did they find?
Here's the kicker.
Okay.
While fluoride in water is definitely a win for kids' teeth, there's actually not enough strong evidence to say it helps adults the same way.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
But why? I mean, we're all drinking the same water, right?
The thinking is that times have changed.
Right.
Thanks to fluoride toothpaste, mouthwash, and all those dental products, we're getting fluoride from so many sources now.
Right.
That the added impact from our water is less significant, at least for adults.
Okay, that makes sense. It's like we're already getting our fluoride fix elsewhere.
Exactly.
But if the benefit for adults is debatable, are there other reasons folks are questioning fluoridation?
You bet.
Like what?
Remember those early studies that fueled the whole fluoridation movement?
Yeah.
Well, Cochrane uncovered a bombshell.
What?
A whopping 97% of them had flaws.
97%. Okay, that's a lot of flaws.
A lot of flaws.
What kind of issues are we talking about?
A big one was that many studies didn't take into account the increasing use of fluoride toothpaste over time.
Oh.
So it's tough to tease apart how much cavity reduction was truly from the water versus all the other fluoride sources popping up.
So it's like trying to figure out if your garden is thriving because of the fertilizer or the sunshine?
Exactly.
Too many variables.
Too many variables. And that lack of clear-cut evidence has fueled ongoing debates about the necessity of water fluoridation in today's world. Welcome back. We've just scratched the surface of the fluoride debate,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you're wondering what this all means for you.
Absolutely. We've uncovered some fascinating history and scientific findings, but I'm eager to connect the dots. So what's the takeaway for the everyday listener? What should we be doing with this information?
That's the million-dollar question. The first takeaway is that fluoride, even in our water, isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It's great at fighting cavities, especially for kids, but those potential downsides at higher levels can't be ignored.
Right. Too much of anything can backfire.
Right.
So what's a responsible, health-conscious person to do with this knowledge?
Awareness is key.
Okay.
Do a little digging and find out the fluoride levels in your water.
Okay.
You can usually find this info on your local water supplier's website or those consumer confidence reports they mail out.
I actually just got one of those. It's pretty detailed, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But it does make you realize just how much is in our water, besides H2O.
Exactly. And remember, it's not just about what's coming from your tap.
Right.
Think about all those other sources of fluoride you encounter. Toothpaste, mouthwash, certain foods, it all adds up.
So we need to be mindful of our total fluoride intake, not just what's in our water glass.
Right.
But how do we even know how much is too much? Is there a magic number?
That's where things get tricky. There's no universal answer.
Hmm.
The recommended daily intake can vary based on your age, health, and other individual factors.
So it's not as simple as a quick Google search.
Unfortunately not.
Who should we be talking to about this? Our doctors, our dentists.
Both are great resources.
Okay.
Your doctor can look at your overall health and any potential risk factors, while your dentist can give you tailored advice about oral health and fluoride needs for your teeth. They can even spot those early signs of fluorosis, those white spots or staining on your teeth, if you're concerned about too much fluoride.
Makes sense. It's all about that open communication with our healthcare providers.
Absolutely.
But beyond individual checkups, how can we stay informed about all this fluoride research? It seems like things are always changing.
You're right. Science is constantly evolving, and our understanding of fluoride is no exception. Stay curious. Read reputable sources like the National Institutes of Health or the World Health Organization, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Love that. Staying curious is what the deep dive is all about. Speaking of a global perspective, one thing that really stuck with me from our prep was learning that most developed countries don't even fluoridate their water.
Yeah.
And yet, their dental health isn't any worse than ours.
That's a fascinating point. It raises important questions about the necessity of blanket water fluoridation in today's world. If these countries are achieving good oral health without it, perhaps there's a stronger case for focusing on those alternative fluoride sources, like toothpaste and dental products and individual preventative measures.
Right. It makes you think maybe a more targeted approach could be more effective and potentially safer than just adding fluoride to everyone's water supply.
You're hitting on a key concept here.
Yeah.
Individualized healthcare.
Okay.
What works for one person might not work for another.
Right.
We're learning more and more about how genetics, environmental factors, and individual health needs all play a role.
So it's bigger than just fluoride.
Right.
It's about taking charge of our health, being informed, and making decisions based on our unique circumstances.
Exactly. It's about having those open conversations with our healthcare providers and advocating for what's best for our own well-being.
I'm sensing a theme here.
What's up?
Knowledge is power. So for anyone listening who's feeling a bit overwhelmed or unsure about where they stand on this whole fluoride issue, what's your advice?
First things first, don't panic. We're constantly bombarded with information these days. It's easy to feel overloaded. Take a deep breath and start with what you can control.
Okay, what's in our control when it comes to fluoride?
Your choices. Educate yourself about the fluoride levels in your water and what other sources you're exposed to. Talk to your doctor and dentist about your specific needs and concerns.
And remember, there are tons of resources out there, organizations dedicated to providing evidence-based information. You don't have to navigate this alone.
That's right. Ultimately, it's about feeling empowered to make informed choices that align with your own values and priorities.
So whether you're firmly pro-fluoridation or have some reservations, the key is to stay engaged, keep learning, and be open to different perspectives.
Well said.
This deep dive has certainly been enlightening. We've barely scratched the surface of this complex topic, but I think we've gleaned some valuable insights.
We certainly have.
But before we wrap up this fluoride adventure, I have one final thought-provoking question for our listeners to ponder.
Okay.
If those studies suggesting potential cognitive effects were using higher than U.S. fluoride levels, what does that mean for potential subtle effects at our lower levels?
Mm.
Is there a tipping point, a threshold, where the benefits might start to be outweighed by the risks? It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about the science and, even the history of fluoride
Right.
and, the global perspective on this.
Right.
But I think there's another layer here
Okay.
that we should uncover.
Yeah.
The human side of this whole debate. It's not just data points
Right.
and studies.
Yeah.
This is about people and their choices.
Absolutely. This is a topic that sparks a lot of passion,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a lot of strong opinions on both sides.
You've got folks concerned about freedom of choice, worries about government overreach,
Right?
even distrust of scientific authority.
Yeah.
And I think it's crucial to acknowledge those perspectives,
It is.
especially since we're talking about something that's added to our water supply, something we all consume.
I couldn't agree more. It's a decision that impacts entire communities.
Right.
Like any public health intervention.
Yeah.
Transparency and open dialogue are absolutely essential.
Exactly. We need to have those honest conversations.
Right.
Weighing the benefits and the risks.
Yes.
Considering the science alongside individual values and concerns.
That's what informed consent is all about.
Yeah.
People need access to accurate information presented in a way they can understand
Right.
to make choices that truly align with their beliefs and priorities.
And that's where things like independent research and critical thinking come in. We can't just blindly accept what we're told right.
No.
We've got to ask questions,
Yeah.
seek out diverse viewpoints,
Mm-hmm.
and have those thoughtful discussions.
Precisely. And these conversations should involve everyone,
Right.
not just the scientists and the policymakers.
Yeah.
We need everyday citizens, community leaders,
Right.
healthcare providers. Yeah. Everyone has a voice in this.
It's about fostering a sense of shared responsibility
Yes.
for our health,
Mm-hmm.
individually and as a community.
Absolutely.
So if someone's listening to this right now,
Okay.
feeling overwhelmed or unsure about where they land on this whole fluoride issue,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them?
First and foremost, don't panic.
Okay.
We're all bombarded with information these days. It's easy to feel like you're drowning in it.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath
Okay.
and focus on what you can control.
Okay. So what can we control in this situation?
Your own actions and choices. Educate yourself about the fluoride levels in your water and those other sources you're exposed to. Talk to your doctor and your dentist about your individual needs and concerns.
And remember, you don't have to figure this out alone.
You don't.
There are tons of resources out there.
There are.
Organizations dedicated to providing evidence-based information and support.
Mm-hmm.
Reach out, ask questions,
Yeah.
and don't be afraid to seek guidance.
I love that.
At the end of the day, it's about empowering yourself to make informed choices that align with your values and priorities,
Absolutely.
whatever those may be.
Whatever those may be.
So whether you're a strong advocate for water fluoridation or you're feeling hesitant,
Right.
the key is to approach this topic with an open mind.
Yes.
Be willing to listen
Yeah.
and stay engaged in the conversation.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been a pleasure exploring this multifaceted topic with you.
Likewise. And to our amazing listeners, thanks for joining us on this fluoride adventure. We hope you found it insightful, maybe even a little bit empowering. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Visions Beyond on YouTube for more deep dives into the topics that matter. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing and those conversations flowing.